जो भी कदम उठाए, जैसे भी उठाए, उसमें योगदान दिया। और जिन लोगों ने मेरे साथ, विशेष रूप से मेरे जो मातहत लोग थे जो मेरे साथ काम करते थे, उन्होंने दिल जान लगा करके, क्रेडिट मुझे मिला बट असली मेहनत उनकी रही। मैं उन सबके लिए धन्यवाद देता हूँ। सर, आप लोगों ने ये न्योता, दिस इन्व्हिटेशन तुम्ही एक्सेप्ट केला, मी खरा आभारी आहो। आणि इतकी मोठी संख्येमध्ये आपण सर्व लोक आले, मी त्याबद्दल देखील तुमच्या हार्दिक धन्यवाद देतो. थँक्यू. जय हिंद, जय महाराष्ट्र.
Thank you so much, Raghuvanshi sir. Your journey has been really inspiring. And आपने जो kind words जितेंद्र दीक्षित के लिए कहे, वो वाकई में सराहनीय है. Because Jitendra Dixit really deserve a lot, and he's a multitasker. अभी भी वो फोन पर अपने शायद असाइनमेंट से इनको कॉल्स या मैसेज आ रहे हैं, साथ साथ वो भी कर रहे हैं. Thank you once again, Raghuvanshi sir. While reading the troubleshooter, you will find name of another prominent IPS officer, Shri Anami Roy. Raghuvanshi sir had raised the ATS under his supervision and investigated a few important cases of terrorism where Shri Roy was the police commissioner of Mumbai. As a crime reporter active on field, author Jitendra Dixit also interacted with him frequently. Apart from being the police chief of Mumbai, Shri Roy held other key posts as well, like police commissioners of Aurangabad and Pune. After a glorious career of 38 years, Shri Roy retired as the DGP of Maharashtra in 2010. I invite our guest of honor, Shri A.N. Roy, to kindly come here and address the audience.
Respected Shri Balchandran, my dear friend and colleague, the protagonist of this book that we are releasing today, K.P. Raghuvanshi, who we call lovingly Raghu, and that's how I'll be referring to him when I talk with you. Shri Chandi, and of course the author, my friend and colleague of those days. Then I knew him as a Star TV News, Jitendra Dixit. Now Star News does not even exist. So Jitendra Dixit. And dear friends, thank you for having me here today to participate in this event of releasing Shri Jitendra Dixit's book on Shri Raghuvanshi. I will speak little less about from the book, about the book, but not from the book necessarily. First, Shri Balchandran, today's chief guest, our senior-most senior colleague, respected. He's an authority on intelligence, security, geopolitics, and above all, national security matters. After having spent a few years in Maharashtra, where he was very well known those days, because most of us here would not know because he left the state long, long ago. And then in Government of India, he worked for a long time in all these areas that I mentioned, intelligence, particularly external intelligence. And he's an authority. After retirement, he's a prolific writer globally on these matters, intelligence, security, national security, and geopolitical affairs. He writes in a number of multiple global publications. Often he is invited by global publications to write on an issue. We are honored to have Shri Balchandran here. He, like everybody's reference point, he's a prolific reader. When he writes or speaks, he really has an encyclopedia behind him. He can kind of keep on quoting, pulling out matters of references from all over the world and from history. Thank you, Macmillan, for bringing out my friend's book, a book on him. And thank you, Mr. Chandy, for choosing this context to write a book, someone writing a book on a police officer. Books have been written by and on police officers, but those are of a different kind. I'm happy that someone chose to write on my poor dear Raghu. In Jitendra Dixit, I have extensive memory of him being in Star News. Then, when I was police commissioner here, Star News has changed forms and names, and in fact, its existence itself has gone so many changes. It's completely metamorphosed. Now, its even name has kind of got amalgamated into multiple other things, but does exist now as GeoStar. But news does not exist. They don't do news anymore. I understand Jitendra is now with NDTV Marathi. Am I right? I just checked, so I came to know that. I didn't know where he was now. But good, as you can see, from being just a news and rather at that time a crime reporter, obviously you come to know about police officers because you deal with them, you go to them, you pull out news from them, that's your expertise. So from then you come to know about officers, and to have chosen to write on Sri Raghuvanshi, thank you for doing that. He would not have written a book on himself. He is a very, very media shy person, Raghu. Generally himself a very low profile, straightforward, very simple, rather a simpleton is what Raghu is. So he would have never written anything about himself. Generally, such people go unsung, but someone chose to write about him, so people will know a little bit about what they do. Amongst us officers, there are two kinds. I am referring to people who know whatever they do about officers in Mumbai, particularly in the media. There are those who hang in and around Mumbai always. Generally, they finish their careers around here, and so they become so much better known here, high profile. Another set of officers who are generally low profile, do their work wherever they are sent, whatever role, high profile, low profile, is job for us, and we must do it well. So there are those people who have gone around everywhere within the state, from one end to the other, from state to center back to state. So there are some of those. These set of officers will always remain less known in Mumbai. Mumbai people are very Mumbai centric. There are those in Mumbai who think world doesn't exist outside of Mumbai. There are, among us police officers also, there are some who think nothing exists outside of Mumbai. So these officers who go around everywhere are comparatively lesser known in Mumbai. I recall when I came to Mumbai, as I was just about to be posted police commissioner, the then deputy chief minister, late Sri R.R. Patil, may his soul rest in peace, he asked me, he said, "Ki tumhe kuthhe hota ataparant tumche kadi aikla nahi." I said, "Sir, I have been across the state, worked wherever I was posted, but yes, I have not worked in Mumbai is a fact." So obviously people, media मध्ये कोण तुम्हाला ओळखत नाही. So I said, "Sir, is that a fault?" So we have these two. Now I will come to Raghu as narrated in the book. I am referring largely to what has come out in the book, not so much from personal knowledge. Okay? I'll limit myself to what is written, brought out through the book. Raghu has worked, as the MC was mentioning, in rural Maharashtra, urban Maharashtra, etc. Particularly, the reference is at the moment to Gadchiroli, the only Naxal affected area of Maharashtra. Fortunate that yes, Maharashtra police and the state were able to keep it confined to that limited region. It used to be then Chandrapur, got split into Gadchiroli, parts of Bhandara, Gondia, little bit affected. So that remained confined to that region. It did not spread beyond that. Level of activity went a little up and down, but now it has, as you can see very well, it has kind of been brought to the minimal, if not eliminated. It always remained less as very at a low key as compared to the other Naxal affected states of India, like Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Chhattisgarh, etc. When Raghu went to Gadchiroli, this district was recently split from Chandrapur to Gadchiroli, and Gadchiroli did not have any infrastructure. Even the district headquarters was where so basic, so primitive facilities were not there. And it was like a backup beyond, nobody would have wanted to go. Anybody would have, generally, when people got posted, they would go on leave, do something, manage and not go. I'll tell you that story later on. So, Raghu did that work in the initial years of Naxalism and of Gadchiroli district, laying the foundation, the infrastructure, the systems, the strategy, all of that, how to tackle Naxalism in Maharashtra, in that region. And it paid rich dividends, as he rightly mentioned. His successors in office who followed were also equally committed people who took the work forward, and we had the state reaped a very rich dividend from that. The small unit called C60, it must have sounded funny to people, what is the C and what is the 60? But yes, a small unit then thought of 60 people from within the district strength, because now the state is prosperous. The police have also in that sense become a little more better resourced. Demands get fulfilled faster, easier. To demand some, if you wanted to get 60 extra people strength sanctioned in the district, it may take you 10 years, it may not come. But वक्त था वैसा, आज के जैसी हमारे पास साधन सुविधा थी नहीं. Within his own resources, he created this unit called C60. They were the hand-picked, motivated, trained, committed force which will dare to go out voluntarily to conduct operation. And when you go to conduct operations in Gadchiroli against the Naxals, you know that you are going at the sole risk of your life. It's your own chosen risk that you're taking. People sitting here cannot realize what Gadchiroli is and what Naxalism in Gadchiroli is. And I'm narrating to you my own experience. When I was DG Maharashtra, the first visit I did was to out of my office was to Gadchiroli. I said, I am going to see and spend time in Gadchiroli to see and be with my officers and men who are really sticking their neck out, taking risk of their lives to keep the state safe from Naxal. I went to visit Gadchiroli and I found out who all were the people who have done great work in Gadchiroli, and I called out Raghuvanshi, one of them. He was then ADG Railways, nothing to do with Gadchiroli, nothing to do with Gadchiroli, Naxalism. I pulled out all such officers who had worked there. I invited them to come with me. We all went there together to Gadchiroli, spent 3 days there, moving out in the jungle fatigue uniform with the men, and we walked around in the jungle. Aheri to Laheri was a 90-kilometer stretch. We drove that through the jungle, stopping at different places and seeing. For me to understand what really the terrain is, what the problem is, what our men go through, what these officers have done in the earlier years, why we are here today. After coming back, somebody in the media must have asked me something, and I said something that, because one of the very prime considerations for me is to handle the Naxal problem in Gadchiroli. A foreign journalist of a leading magazine, global magazine, came to meet me and said, what did you mean to say there is Naxalism in Maharashtra? I've never heard of it. A lady, well known, she was India head of Business Week magazine. She came to ask me this. I was amazed that, in fact, to some extent, her knowledge that she is the head of this place and she does not know this. But however, the fact is that this is how it is. When you tell people like this, it is like you're revealing them some great secret, some news people do not know. That is where these officers have done this by taking risk of their life. The infrastructure, the schemes, the systems, the strategy that was laid out then by Raghuvanshi was subsequently. Now, he mentioned Subodh Jaiswal was his successor. Now, Subodh Jaiswal, since sitting here, I just mentioned this. So I was in Delhi those days, in the Prime Minister's Secretary set up SPG, and we were looking for young officers to come from states to join SPG. So with my personal knowledge, I identified Subodh Jaiswal. I said he should come here. So there's a long process of selection. I was not the one to decide alone. So the long process of selection went through. Both came for an interview and he was selected. So we quickly now we are waiting for some. Once we are selected, we thought, Government of India arrogant. We have decided you come tomorrow, join. So we asked, suppose when will you come? He said, sir, kindly give me 1 year to complete my 3-year tenure in Gadchiroli. Now, I don't think you can hear this from any officer in Mumbai to say that I want to complete my tenure in Gadchiroli before going to a posting on Delhi. It just narrates that these are those committed officers who go unsung because they are not Mumbai centric. And this is not Mumbai work. This is not Mumbai crime work. So these officers are lesser known. Their work remains lesser known. I am thanking you, Jitendra, for bringing this out, writing a book on this aspect of yes policing. This also exists. This is also equally important. I am not running down any other aspect. I'm just saying this is also equally important. So Raghu was so well known in Gadchiroli when he left after completing his tenure. I was told, because I used to go very frequently to Gadchiroli during my tenure as a DG. So you hear after finishing work when you sit in the jungle-like place and hear stories from people there. So when he was transferred from there on completion of his tenure, not only the whole police but the whole city turned up to see him off, to bid him a farewell. Some of these officers have done such work there. My experience of Gadchiroli in my own way as DG, I found and saw and learned so much. This was my first visit after becoming the DG was to Gadchiroli. And my last visit, the day I was handing over charge as DG of the state, I went to Gadchiroli. So this guy has come. He was there then. Jai Kumar. On my last day, I was to retire on 31st of May. 29th May night, I traveled from here to Gadchiroli, spent the whole day there, had dinner with the men, and midnight I left from Gadchiroli to come to Mumbai on 31st morning to hand over charge here. That is my close connection, my love for Gadchiroli. But during this period, what I saw was something amazing that only describes the condition that our officers and men, this so-called C60, works in Gadchiroli. So I went and I saw the reality and many visits and all that. So I came to then the Deputy Chief Minister and Home Minister R.R. Patil, and I told him that, see, the condition in the district is such that other than police, nobody works there. There are no other people, they just don't go, they're not there. काय बोलता तुम्ही काही सांगतो म्हटलं सर माझी एकच रिक्वेस्ट आहे माझा बरोबर तुम्ही एकदा गडचिरोली व्हिजिटला या आणि मी तुम्हाला इनकॉग्निटो सिक्रेटली घेऊन जातो आपले पीए लोकांना पण सांगू नका we will take care of your security, we'll take care of your personal staff requirement also. Somebody will note down all that you want. Just come with me alone. He accepted my challenge. He and I traveled in a commercial flight, Indian Airlines. We went to Nagpur. We had by then secured a helicopter from Government of India for our use in Gadchiroli. We took in our helicopter from Nagpur to Gadchiroli, and I told him we will not land in a district headquarters, we will land in a taluka place. We landed directly in a taluka place. We had all our arrangements, everybody was present there, we got in a car. I took him to the Tahsildar office. The Tahsildar, at about 11:30 in the morning. Tahsildar office was locked, literally locked. There was a sweeper doing the sweeping outside. So we called him. He said, "Kutte gaye sir?" Sahib, tikde hote amuk some karkut, some clerk naam he took. He said, "Babu, aaj 2 wasta yeta." So one clerk will come at 2 o'clock. So Tahsildar sahib kutte? Sir, they Nagpur wasta. Very matter of factly, all of this is what you ask anybody. Then from there we moved to the Panchayat Samiti office. BDO sahib could have BDO sahib is not stop, sir. Very matter of fact is that BDO. What do you mean you ask him? BDO sahib is not stop, sir. Could have sir Nagpur la. So to cut the story short, we went from office to office to office, including the hospital. Everywhere you found only sweepers. Somebody who was about trying to open the lock. No single staff, not a single staff in any office. Went to school. So there were 3-4 little children sitting there, one little teacher. So then from there we went to the district headquarters. We called everybody. Collector had to be called from home. They all came. So we gave him we were ready with the data. We gave him the figure that so many people is the sanction strength in the district. 31% only are posted. By government, only 31% of the sanction strength was posted in the district, and 11% only went to be present. They all come only on the 31st to take their salary and go. Now, so we made a presentation on that video. We made that presentation. Then Chief Minister and Deputy Chief Minister and Mantralaya, Chief Secretary and everybody present. Something moved with that. Our party accepted. I will be the Palak Mantri of that district. We accepted to be the Palak Mantri. So things started moving. My second experience was. We at police initial, actually, as I told you, it's only police administration who used to work there, no, nothing else. So we did a little outreach program. We identified a cluster of 15 villages. All of us with very large police force we collected in those 15 villages. Our men will go and try to meet people there, ask them their problem. Problem meaning not police problem. कोणाची काय अडचण आहे? कोणाचं काम आहे, मला 7-12 उतारा पाहिजे, मला हे दाखला पाहिजे, मला अमुक काम पाहिजे, आमची स्कॉलरशिप आली नाही, आमचं आलं नाही. जे काही तुमचे काम असेल सरकारच्या कोणत्याही डिपार्टमेंटशी संबंधित तर ते आम्ही करून पोलिसांनी मिळून त्याचं तो काम करून द्यावा. That was the initiative we started 15 days in a cluster of 15 villages. So in the middle of that, I went to visit. All of us, all the senior officers connected, we all went there. Mr. Sanjeev Dayal was the ADG Law and Order. He's not here now. We all went there. So we reached a village school, a tribal village school, and we sat there. We said, "Bhai, bulao gaon ke log." They had collected some people there. 40, 50, 60 people all sitting on the floor. There are some few chairs here. I said, "Baba, tum idhar baitho aaj. Tumhi ikde aao. Hindi bolta hai log udhar." There are people from different states, Telugu speaking. So, आप इधर बैठो, हमारे साथ बैठ के आप लोग बात को सरपंच लोग को इधर बुलाओ. Nobody was ready to come. So I said, "Bhai, look here, I have come to hear you people. I have not come to give a bhashan. I only want to hear your problem. Please get up and tell us." Nobody was getting so scared. They were looking at you. So when I said, "Look here, आप जब तक बोलेंगे नहीं तो हम जाएंगे नहीं. इधर ही बैठे रहने पड़ेगा. I have come to hear only you." With great difficulty, one guy got up from there and he said, "Sir, I am so Gatagram Panchayat Pramukh." He was the sarpanch of cluster of 5 villages. Gatagram Panchayat मतलब 5 गांवचे Gatagram Panchayat. He was the sarpanch of a Gatagram Panchayat, 5 villages. He is a tribal. Around he says, "Sir, मैं so and so. Sir, क्या बताएं? हम तो यहाँ कुत्ते और चूहों की जिंदगी जीते हैं." I remember that sentence. We have recorded it in a video and we showed it to the Chief Minister and Deputy Chief Minister then. हम तो यहाँ कुत्ते और चूहों की जिंदगी जीते हैं. क्या प्रॉब्लम है? सब मैं गट ग्राम पंचायत प्रमुख, मैं आदिवासी, मुझे सिर्फ आदिवासी का दाखला, जाति का दाखला चाहिए, वो दाखला मिले तो मेरे जो गवर्नमेंट के एंटाइटलमेंट्स हैं, मुझे लैंड पट्टा मिलने का है। सरकार ने और ट्राइबल्स को वो एरिया में इतना जमीन देने का जीआर है, तो मेरे को मिलेगा जब ये मेरे पास जाति का दाखला रहेगा। मेरे को 3 साल से मैं जाति का दाखला मिलने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ, मुझे नहीं मिल रहा। ये सब ऑल पब्लिकली सेट टू इन फ्रंट ऑफ एवरीवन, ऑल वीडियो रिकॉर्डेड, प्रेजेंटेड टू गवर्नमेंट इन अ रिपोर्ट। सो आई वाज शॉक्ड, क्या होता है, क्यों नहीं मिलता? पर साहब वो तहसील ऑफिस में जाता हूँ तो ऑफिस तो हफ्ते में 1 दिन खुलता है, हो गया तो बोला नहीं, बोला कल आना, मंडे को आना। उसके बाद लाइक बोला सब मैं गट ग्राम पंचायत प्रमुख, मेरा ये हाल है, बाकी का क्या हाल होगा? Which is true. In a little natak there, I said, I will stay here till as long as the Tahsildar comes and issues this certificate. 3 दिन रहेगा, 7 दिन रहेगा, मैं 7 दिन ही रहूंगा. Then flurry of activity, collector, everybody got into the space, and then finally some people came in the next 3-4 hours, and they issued to that one man at least, they issued a Jati Dakla, something happened. I am just telling you that this is how administration existed in that district until this time. I am talking of 2008. It's only this, the police establishment, that's why there is importance of C60, that the entire system was running. Leave it to Gadchiroli. My next encounter with Raghu was, I was police commissioner. With great difficulty, we were able to clear this birth of ATS, which was hanging fire up and down, back and forth. This, oh, ye karo, waisa karo, ye nahi hoga, wo nahi hoga. So finally, I went and sat with the additional chief secretary. Then I said, किताब आपको जो लिखने का लिखो, लेकिन GR निकाल दो आप, हम लोग सेटअप तो करेंगे कुछ. We got a very mixed up, confused kind of GR. So we started the ATS. अभी कौन करेगा काम ATS में? ऐसे नई संस्था में कोई आता नहीं, मालूम है कि अब वहाँ तो ऑफिस भी नहीं है, पगार निकलेगा कि नहीं निकलेगा, क्योंकि अभी हमारा बजट हेल्प बना नहीं है वगैरह, all of that. So that's when, after looking at all the names, I myself was very new to Mumbai. Then I identified Raghuvanshi. We had never worked together. I knew him reasonably well, but we had never worked together. He was IG Thane at that time. I identified him to come as joint CP ATS. So he mentioned to you already himself, his reluctance, his experience, how he chose to come. But when he came, this was the situation. Where will he sit on day one? Where is the office? Till at that time, we didn't have this swanky, tall office of the new office of the police commissioner, and there were no ATS office as it exists now. Not having any solution for his problem, I took that call of making the ATS office in what was called then the Traffic Institute, the office by Kala, where DCP Zone 2 and additional CP South region sit. तो बोले साहब इधर जगह किधर है? तो सब इधर लोग बैठा, हमारा 80 ट्रैफिक ऑफिस में ऑलरेडी ये लोग घुस गए हैं, एडिशनल सीपी साउथ रीजन वगैरह अभी तक किसको जगह है? Finally, we took a call. We shifted the joint CP traffic from that building, whose building it was originally. We shifted him from that place, and ATS was installed there without any resource. He went around. So that job, again, why I am referring this is the creation of infrastructure. Like Raghu created the basic infrastructure in Gadchiroli, same work came to his fate here when he became the joint CP. ATS first, ATS joint CP, and then he had to go around literally finding an officer, finding table, finding this, that, and the other. Fortunately, we did the journey together. That's how ATS was born. But more importantly, from my point of view, about Raghu, that you needed to set up a new organization, not the physical infrastructure. More importantly, the operational infrastructure. It was meant to be an operational unit for the whole state. Those were the days of, serious terrorism, and you needed to confront that. You needed to make a force which was battle ready from day one to deal with that. And we used to have, at that time, the serial bomb blasts happening around the country. This, that, lots of terrorist events. So those were the days, and in that situation, you needed to create this, to set systems, create SOPs, how a situation will be dealt with, collection of intelligence, operational investigation. All of this organization which started with some 27 people was supposed to do. Now today I believe it's a 650 people kind of organization over the years. All that setting up of procedures, systems, strategy, SOPs was all done by Raghu and his team at that time. Even Subodh Jaiswal was a part of that. Even Naval Bajaj was a part of that. All of them have gone through this. But yes, I felt proud at that time when we created this whole setup that the organization was then battle ready. Actually, SOPs created were such that they were found so useful in every time of crisis that every man in the organization knew where he was supposed to go, what he was supposed to do, which post he will take, and accordingly, alongside the cooperating, the support agency, the local police also knew each one what they were supposed to do. Now, that is the kind of background job some officers do, and that's the credit I am giving to Raghu, that he has been in these situations and has looked for these kind of jobs and made that contribution. The classic case was, of course, that the bomb blast that happened in 2016, bomb blast, which was technically not in Mumbai or ATS jurisdiction, but response from police was fantastic, very prompt, very systematic, everyone reaching at the spot in time and beginning from a zero kind of start. I Raghu has also retired quite some years ago. I feel happy that someone has remembered a retired officer, and one like Raghu, low profile, sitting somewhere in Thane. Somebody thought of him to write a book about his work that he has done in the organization all his life, very quietly, without seeking publicity. I am happy that it has been done for him. Thank you for having invited me here. I wish Jitendra Dixit and his book all the best.
Thank you so much, sir, for your insights, your journey, and sharing all your experiences. Well, let's extend a very warm and respectful welcome to Devendra Bharti ji, Commissioner of Mumbai Police, scheduled to attend the book launch of Jitendra Dixit. Jitendra, right there with sir. What a moment. Thank you for coming over, sir. Thank you once again, Roy sir. It is a distinct honor to introduce our chief guest, Mr. Balachandran, a luminary in the realm of Indian national security and a veteran of the Indian Police Service. With a distinguished career spanning over 35 years, Mr. Balachandran served the Maharashtra Police with excellence for nearly 2 decades, notably holding the position of Deputy Commissioner in Mumbai during the early 1970s. His expertise then led him to the Research and Analysis Wing, RAW, where he dedicated 19 years to external intelligence, eventually retiring as Special Secretary in the Cabinet Secretariat. Following the tragic events of 2008, his deep institutional knowledge proved indispensable as a member of the 2-man high-level inquiry committee tasked with investigating the 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks. Through this committee, he provided a masterclass in systemic analysis, identifying critical gaps in intelligence and law enforcement to help fortify our nation's defenses. Beyond his tactical service, he is a prolific author and columnist, continuing to shape our understanding of internal security and global strategy. So please join us in welcoming Mr. V. Balachandran ji.
Thank you. you very much. It's an honor for me to be back among my colleagues. Well, I left Maharashtra Police in 1976. I was the Deputy Commissioner of Police in those days, special branch. Then I went to Raw and came back in 95, retired. Well, I was also an SP of certain Adivasi districts. I was 4 years as ASP in Nasik. As you know, Nasik has got majority Adivasi areas. Then later in Yavatmal, again, it is an Adivasi area. But then we didn't have this Maoist problem at that time. So it was something new. Then I went to Delhi and got involved in the foreign intelligence and all that, and retired in 95. The next time I confronted, or rather got involved in the police working was, as it is already said, the 2611 inquiry. It's not investigation, it is inquiry. Investigation was done by Mr. Devan Bharati, Rakesh Mari and others. It was done by the crime branch. Well, let me start talking about the book first. It is a beautifully written book. It's one of the best, as somebody said, unbookdownable. That's a new word that was introduced by Oxford Dictionary in 1839. I thought it was an Indianized version of an expression, but I found it was a pleasant surprise to know that it is an approved Oxford unbookdownable. I finished the whole thing in one day. So it's very dramatic, it's very personal, it is beautiful language, and then he brings out Raghuvanshi's character. Well, from what I've known Raghuvanshi, it is very not too long. It's only a very short time when I was doing the inquiry. He's stoic, systematic. A small thing I'll tell you how systematic he is. He sent me a card, and ordinarily people will just say driver so and so. He sent me a photograph. Send me a photograph so that I would. It is that even small items, as Adami said, is very systematic and most self-effacing. The amount of work that he had done in Gadchiroli, I am not talking about his other police working, but in Gadchiroli, he should have been boasting about it all over the world, because you will be surprised to know that the whole world is very much interested in the left communist insurgency which is going on in some parts of the world. In 2012, Oxford University, London, they asked me to vet. There is what is called a pre-publication editing. Post-publication editing is, we all know what it is. Editing and, not post-publication, but before you publish. But pre-publication is, they wanted somebody to check. And this whole thing is, the subject was policing insurgencies. It is role of domestic police in counterinsurgency operations. It was jointly written by Sumit Ganguly, who is a well-known security writer based in USA, and Christine Fair from Washington University. They combined various instances in which the insurgency was handled by the local police, not by the army. As you know, in many countries, the counterinsurgency is done by the army. So, what are the peculiar problems? What were the measures taken by the police? And there, I examined. When I looked at the manuscript, I found that there were serious gaps in the knowledge. Now, the communist insurgents in those days were 1946 to 54, Huk Bala Hap, this is the communist insurgency in Philippines. How did they tackle? That again was tackled by the local police. Then in 1948 to 1960, Malayan emergency. They called it emergency. That is that, as you know, the Malayan Maoist. Those days they were not called Maoist. It is just they called it emergency. And at that time, I came to know a very veteran police officer from the old Malaya called Leon Comba. And later he migrated to Australia, then he retired from there. He was of great use to me to understand how they tackled the Malayan emergency. There was also a man called Sir Gerald Templar, who was the main man doing it. Now, exactly what Raghuvanshi did in Gadchiroli, Sir Gerald Templar raised a local police of the Adivasis. They called them aborigines. It is called Senoi Prak, that particular force. Because most of the insurgents were the Chinese migrants who had settled down. The British had brought them from China, mainland China as workers in their plantations in 1857 and 1877 actually they were brought. They were the people who were incited by Comintern, Communist International, to raise communist insurgency in those areas. Then the other thing that was examined there were 1940s onwards Colombia. Now this is also one of the longest communist insurgencies. It started from 1948. There is an organization called PARC. And then there was absolutely no mention about the Indian Maoists at all. If I had known at that time in 2012 something about what Raghuvanshi had done in Gadchiroli, I could have incorporated. Unfortunately, I came to know, Anami was telling me in those days, C60 was mentioning, but I didn't have a clear idea. So this was actually revealed only during this reading of this book. I was interested in Maoist insurgency right from after my retirement. I wanted to, although I didn't have practical experience of handling it. In 2003, Christian Science Monitor, Washington Times, it was one correspondent. He interviewed me and published my interview in these two papers. Then in 2005, incidentally, you might have heard about my batchmate Prakash Singh, who was mainly responsible for the police reforms. He was also, while he was posted in Assam, he studied the insurgencies and also especially the Maoist insurgency. So he had written a book and I was asked to review its translation in French. It's called the Histoire de Naxalism. It became a bestseller in France because France has a background of this type of communist insurgency. So I went on, writing like this, and then I mentioned to you about the 2012 Oxford University thing also. Now, then later in 2006, Satish Sahni asked me to write a background paper about our communist insurgency. And that was Subodh was part of it. Shivanandan had come. Some others had come from Maharashtra Police. That was a unique conference, a discussion, how to do with it. It was in, as I said, in 2006, full day seminar. V.G. Varghese, the veteran journalist, he was part of it. And that was a conference in Nehru Center of the serving police officers, retired police officers who had handled Maoists, and human rights activists who were later accused of helping the Maoist insurgency from Andhra Pradesh, then media and others. So I wrote the background paper, then I chaired that that conference. Later, I was not very happy with whatever I had written. Then I went to Hyderabad to study the insurgency in depth. I met Mr. Shankaran. I don't know whether you have heard about Shankaran. Shankaran was a very famous IAS officer of 1956 batch, who as a collector of a particular district was abducted by the Maoists, kept in captivity for 20 days. There he had a dialogue with them. There it is he who brought out exactly what the Maoists want. Now, what ultimately he was, as I said, he was kept in the custody 20 days. He wrote a book about it. He gave me that book. He felt, and then during that visit, I also met a correspondent of Hindu who was invited with Maoists into their camps. He had taken videos. Then I met a police officer who had done long years of investigating the Maoist insurgency. And there, what Shankaran told me was this, saying that you can't put down Maoist insurgency with only force. You have to win over the people's mind. That's exactly the theme of this book, and that is exactly what Raghuvanshi also believed. So here, I did not know. I did not know really the whole, what exactly was it done, and it was very revealing to me to read this book, and I thank the author and also the person who has been responsible for this. And it's a great thing to be part of this publication, and I am extremely happy to be here. So I may just, if you permit me, as I said, our insurgency would be perhaps the longest, because we had this the Telangana uprising between 1946 and 1954. I'm sorry, 1946 to 51, Telangana revolt. There, Telangana, the old revolt that is before our independence, actually it started in 46 in old Hyderabad, Nizam state, and in the British area. So they tried to use their army and all that in the first phase. Then there was a lot. Then again, the second phase it started. So at that time, Rajgopalachari was the Home Minister when Sardar Patel had died. And at that time, we had no central forces. We had only a small CRP, Crown Reserve Police, which became CRP. And so they just had 2 battalions. They couldn't afford to give all the manpower. So he called Mr. B.N. Malik. You must have heard about him. He's considered to be the father of Indian intelligence, although he was number 2, the second the chief of intelligence after the independence. Rajaji said, I'll give you 6 months. I'll put you in charge of the entire administration of this area. And you manage revenue, you manage health, you manage everything, also the law and order. So Mr. Malik then got the police forces from the Madras presidency. That in Kerala was not yet born, and then those days, Bombay, I think we also sent some police forces and put it down. Unfortunately, there was no winning over the people's mind at all, because the Home Minister's orders were that you have to put it down in 6 months. So brute force was used and it was put down. Meanwhile, what happened, what helped was the Comintern changed their strategy. They stopped the beginning, as I told you, that they wanted to spur the communist insurgency all over the world. And starting from Philippines, I mentioned about India, then the Malaya, etc., etc. They changed their strategy and they said, no, we don't want to have the revolution, etc. So it died down. Then the second phase came in 1967, Naxalbari, which has been explained well in this book. And now in the third phase. So when unified Maoists, the old PWG from Andhra and this, Maoists from Bihar, and then of course the West Bengal people also. And now, what exactly is the position on the Maoist insurgency now? India, it is now dying because of the resolute steps taken by the present government, and which I wrote a book, Keeping India Safe, in 2017. There I had one chapter about the Maoist insurgency. Unless the center is fully empowered legally, now what happens under the Schedule 7, the police is and public order with the state. So the center doesn't have any power except Article 355, which says that it is the duty of the center to protect the states from internal disturbances and external invasion. That has not been implemented at all. Because if that is so, the center could have prevented 2611 attack because they had enough 16 intelligence advance alert. But unfortunately, that was not done. That's a different story. Now, there was a interstate commission called Punji Commission, which was set up in 2010. And they published, Justice Punji was judge of the Supreme Court. He recommended an innovative provision that you expand Article 355, and then you are just saying it is the duty of the center, but you're not empowered the center. So he said that we should have a temporary takeover by the center, not under the Article 356 you take over the whole state. Now that becomes very unpopular with the local government, especially if it is ruled by the different party in the state. So he said that as a via media, you do a surgical strike only in a particular area. Supposing now Sukma, but it is uncontrollable. The center should take over. And we have a precedent, as I mentioned, in 1950, Rajagopal said he asked Malik to take over that whole insurgency from Telangana. We have a precedent and it succeeded. So you can do that. Unfortunately, what happened is that Punji Commission's report, if that had been done, perhaps we could have controlled, Maoist insurgency spreading all over Chhattisgarh, and that whole area insurgency prone. You can call it Dandagaranya or whatever it is. It could have been taken over by the center, and it could have been controlled even as early as 2010, when Punji Commission had submitted the report. Unfortunately, Punji Commission has been kept in the cold storage by, unfortunately, UPA government, and even this particular government has not taken action on it. Although I must say, I must compliment them that the center has been resolute to tell the states that yes, we have a role and we'll monitor. So that's a good thing. So hopefully this will end. But whether it will again, reborn after certain years because of neglect, as Anami also described the district administration, totally, insensitive to the needs of the public, whether it will come up again, we can't say. Now, we all thought that Telangana thing, that was the end of it. But it came back in 1967. And that is what is happening in Colombia. It's the longest insurgency going on still. Philippines, there is a Islamic insurgency as well as a communist insurgency, and we have got in Colombia. Colombia is a very serious situation because it is mixed up with the drug trade. So this is the pattern all over the world. Now, as I said, this book was revealing to me. I have read quite a bit of thing on insurgency. In fact, in one of the Oxford seminars where I attended to discuss about 2611 and attacks on urban centers, etc., the then retired MI6 chief called Sir Colin McCall, he told me, he said, Bala, please let me have some papers about the Indian Maoist insurgency. So there again, everybody is interested in this because this is something unique which they are not experienced. In South America, yes, it is happening. And also, I addressed the Raytheon. Raytheon is the biggest weapon maker. You will see Raytheon's name all over in Ukraine wars and all that. They asked me to address their yearly staff. They have a meeting on the Maoist insurgency. They wanted to know much more about it. So I gave them a challenge. I said at that time, we were finding it very difficult to pinpoint the location of Maoists in the forest. Now, Gadchiroli, the forest is there. There's a lot of descriptions in this book about how they were hiding, etc., etc. And so I asked them, I said, look, government has not told me. Government has not told me at all. This is my idea of after examining the situation. Do you have any technology? Which satellite will be able to go through the penetrate and then find out where the insurgents are? The same problem had come in Malaya also. There is no answer to it. I do not know whether I told them, I said, look, if you have a solution to this, you approach our Union Home Ministry. But I have no idea whether they could do it or not. So lastly, I thank Raghuvanshi and the organizers of this book launch inviting me. It is nice to address all of you. Well, I am 88 plus, so people, it's always nice to you feel younger when I see people like the youngsters who are sitting here. So yeah, it reminds of those happy days that I spent in Maharashtra police. 17 years where I worked in. I started my career in Sholapur, then went to Nasik for 4 years. I had a chance. Once I told Sarah Patil, who was from Asgam, that I have a habit of sticking to a place. I told R.R. Patil Sahib, saying that nobody has beaten my record in Sangli, 4 years. 4 years in Nasik as ASP, 4 years in Sangli, 3 years in Yavatmal. Nobody wanted to go there, but I went there. Then came to Mumbai. Mumbai had a very happy time, special branch finally. I succeeded Mr. Rivero in Zone 2. In those days, we were only 4 deputy commissioners. 1 commissioner who was a DIG. There was no joint commissioner, there was no additional commissioner, 4 range, division. In those days, we used to attend the team meeting with the commissioner in the office. And our offices were in the commissioner's office. And we'll have a team meeting, and then if there is a problem, we used to go back to the area. For example, Zone 4 at that time was Bandra to Borivali, huge area. And I had to sort of, go back and, that was a life, but we enjoyed. And so, as I said, it's nice to be back in the police circles, and thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you very much, Balachandran sir, for your kind words and this insightful speech. So much to learn from you, sir. Your energy levels speak for you. Well, Troubleshooter is the 7th book authored by Jitendra Dixit. This year, Jitendra completes 30 years in journalism. He started his career with Dopeher Ka Samna, a Hindi eveninger in 1996, and has worked with prominent news organizations like India Today Group, Star News, that's ABP Now, and NDTV. During his 3-decade law career, Jitendra Dixit has widely reported on crime and politics, and has often reported from the conflict zones ranging from riots in Gujarat to insurgency in Kashmir and 26/11 attacks in Mumbai. Apart from journalism, Jitendra Dixit's second passion has been writing. He has extensively written on the Kashmir conflict, Mumbai underworld, and contemporary history of Mumbai. Since writing on conflicts is his forte, he has worked upon the Naxal terror in Gadchiroli in his latest book, Troubleshooter, by taking retired IPS officer KP Raghuvanshi as the protagonist of his story. Now I would like to invite Jitendra Dixit to share with our audience the story behind Troubleshooter and deliver a vote of thanks.
Dear dignitaries on the dais, dignitaries in the audience, and all my dear friends. Writing the book Troubleshooter has been a learning experience for me. It took me 3 years, numerous visits to Gadchiroli, hours in the grand old library of the Asiatic Society, and umpteen number of meetings with Sri Raghuvanshi at his office and residence in Thane to complete this book. While working on this book, I got to learn about advent of the Naxal movement in India, as well as the sacrifices our armed forces made to combat the Red Terror. During my research, I realized that the Naxals who came as emancipators of poor Adivasis became their biggest exploiters over a period of time. This book was originally not about Raghuvanshi ji. It was about his creation, the unique C-60 Commando Force of Gadchiroli. If Maharashtra is about to become Naxal free today, it is due to the C-60 raised by Sri Raghuvanshi. I approached him to write a book on C-60, but then a meeting of my friend and literary agent Anish Chandi with him in Delhi changed everything. Anish convinced us that this book should go beyond C-60 and Gadchiroli. Raghuvanshi ji was reluctant about this book and he didn't want me to write it. Raghuvanshi ji is one of those cops who have worked in different topographies, from big cities to small towns and from villages to forests. He has tackled communal riots, investigated terror attacks, and interrogated dreaded gangsters. Many interesting, insightful, as well as entertaining anecdotes from his policing career are encompassed in this book. Dear Raghuvanshi ji, I am thankful for all the cooperation and time you offered to me for this book. I am thankful to Anish for guiding me throughout the writing process and getting the book published through Pen Macmillan India. Thank you, Anish, for especially flying down from Delhi to be a part of this event. Dear Roy sir, I owe many thanks to you. I received a great amount of cooperation from you during your days as the Mumbai Police Commissioner and as the DGP of Maharashtra when I was establishing myself as a crime reporter. Thank you, sir, for taking your time out for this evening and sharing your views. Dear Balachandran sir, I became a fan of yours when I first read the report of inquiry conducted by you and late Sri Ram Pradhan on the 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks. The report is a masterpiece and could be of academic interest for anyone who wants to understand policing in Mumbai, combating terrorism, and do investigative journalism. Thank you, sir, for the insights you shared today. Your presence has made this evening memorable. Thank you, Mumbai Police Commissioner Deven Bharti ji, for taking out time for this event. I know it has been a very busy day for you. And Charul, thank you for being part of my writing journey. Charul has hosted all my book launches since 2012. Thank you for bringing the incredible energy to the stage and conducting this event smoothly. And last but not the least, thank you, dear audience, for taking your time out to be a part of this occasion. I feel humbled and blessed. I hope you will find the book valuable and enjoy reading it. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Maharashtra.
Thank you, Jitendra. Well, I've seen Jitendra Dixit grow from scratch, step by step, with sheer dedication and passion. It is such a proud and emotional moment for me to stand beside him at every book launch, witnessing his journey unfold so beautifully. Jitendra, I'm truly proud of you. I must say you are on another level altogether. Your consistency, your vision, your growth, and multitasking skills. Seriously, I have to learn a lot from you. Everything speaks volume. Keep rising, Jitendra, and keep inspiring all of us. So I would request all of you to please rise for the national anthem. अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाए तब जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे. Well, with this we come to the end of the event. Thank you everyone. Please join us for the tea. The copies of Troubleshooter are available at the counter outside for sale at discounted rates. Shri Raghuvanshi ji and Jitendra Dixit will be here for a while. You can get your copies signed by them. Thank you so very much all the esteemed dignitaries for making us today. Thank you everyone.